conservation major with a minor in education, so environmental ed is something that I'm really interested in, hence why I partook in this class. I have always wanted to teach people about animals inside and out. I like to focus a lot on anatomy. I think that it's very interesting to see all the different anatomy compilations that all different species have and what make them so special. So I thought I brought somebody very different from us. This is the Russian tortoise. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a name, but feel free to name him whatever you guys would like. But the Russian tortoise is a very interesting animal in the sense of it's very wild, but it's also very domestic at the same time. This is a very good pet tortoise. So if you're looking to get into reptile caretaking at home and your tortoise is in your interest, your realm of possibilities, then I think that this is a really good route to go for you guys. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff about him. I would definitely say that something I find super interesting about this Russian tortoise in particular is the never-ending growing beak. So you're familiar with a lot of animals in terms of like rabbits and rats who have continuously growing teeth. Well, their beaks actually continue to grow constantly. So the food that you give them has to shave it down for them, or they'll get super overgrown and they won't be able to eat, which is not really good for them. Or you get like a nail file, fairly gently, you can shave it down for them as well. It's really good for them, it doesn't hurt them. Another thing that I also find super interesting and that I think a lot of people don't tend to know is that they can feel this. A lot of people tend to think that tortoises can't feel, and turtles can't feel when you touch their shell, but if you go and touch your nail, it feels different than if you're touching your skin, but it's the same thing. They can feel that, so when people knock on their shells and things like that, they know you're there. Trust me, it's not something as simple as they don't feel that it's there and that this is a shell. You have to remember that this is part of them. I always think it's funny, like in cartoons, when their shell comes off and it's like a piece of clothing. No, this is their body and they are able to feel everything that you're doing to them. As he reacts when I do this, he just, kind of is like, ooh, like, what's going on, right? So I always think that that's kind of crazy because a lot of people don't know that. I think a really good thing might not be directly correlated to conservation, but the pet trade is a really big issue that not a lot of people want to talk about. Everybody wants that fancy snake, that fancy bird, that fancy weird breeded dog, right? Well, that's not always something that's super applicable and something that you should look forward to. Rather, it should be something that should be properly researched and taken care of. As while this isn't necessarily an endangered species of tortoise, because it's not, there's a lot of issues with it in the pet traders. People literally sell them on the street in front of Walmart at times, and you don't like to see that. So my conservation effort would be to just make sure that you're purchasing your tortoise from a good breeder or, a rescue tortoise, something like that, which there are websites for that and organizations that specialize in those kinds of things, because sometimes it can be really scary buying them from somewhere that you don't know, and it's not good for them. So I would say instead of a wild conservation kind of effort, more so like watch the pet trade and things like that, because it can be a dangerous ride for them and stuff. You can make it a little bit easier on them.